It's hot and humid outside. Welcome, everybody. We have 1 minute away from the start. I'm Jennifer Brennan. I'm the horticulture information specialist here at Chalet and the garden coach. And boy, we're having fun. I'm having so much fun doing these garden coach sessions each week. Coaching you on what you should be doing in your garden, what you should not be doing in your garden, and showing the samples that I get in at the diagnostic desk. So let me just check something here. We have 8 people. Hello, hello. I hope you all are watering. I hope you all are watering. Boy, it's and I was going to do a public health and kind of announcement too. I got heat stroke last Saturday, and it was just because it was so hot, and I was in the outdoor office. And we can't open the doors. We have all the windows open. Can't open the doors, and I drank too much water, which sounds ridiculous. But I always brag about my Yetis, and this is my coffee, my iced coffee Yeti. And then I have an iced water Yeti. I drank 5 of these. It's a 32-ounce mug. I drank 5 of these from noon until closing. And my doctor said that I got water toxicity because I washed all the sodium out of my system. That made me feel good because when the article that she sent me, it usually only happens to marathon runners. Not that I would ever run a marathon, but anyway, it took me a day and a half to recover. So, and that's, taking all kinds of, wonderful minerals and things like that. So thank you. Thank you. And I just got a wonderful note. So I'm going to share all kinds of cool stuff with you. Let me see how many people we have. We have 11. It is 1 minute after 10. And I've got so many great photos. We got several huge deliveries this week. And the one we've been waiting for weeks were our tropicals. All of our tropical plants came in. And I'm going to show you, some photos of some beautiful ones that are just perfect to put on your patio or to add to your garden. You have to understand they won't come back every year, but if you sink the pots into the garden, it makes it easier to water, keeps the root systems cooler. You get that tropical look in your garden. So I'm going to give you some neat ideas and then just show you how great the nursery looks. And are you all excited about the reopening of Illinois as of Friday? I'm so excited because all of us that have had our vaccines don't have to wear face masks starting Friday if we don't want to. And then our guests you don't have to wear face masks here in the store or outside. And that's been the case for a good week and a half. Isn't it silly? I'm talking about a week and a half instead of a month or 6 months. But this is how it is with this COVID stuff. I have 13 people. Ooh, that's my lucky number. So that means I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. I'll put the screen up and, oh, this is going to look weird. Share. And I'm going to take this back from the beginning. Okay, computer. Here we go. Oh, too many of my face on the screen. Garden coach. This is for June. Now, my topics, I narrowed my topics down so they fit on one page this time. And I'm going to start with all these wonderful, you get a walking tour through the nursery just to show you all the neat new displays and all the wonderful new crops that we got in this past week. Tropical foliage plants, our signature containers, our vegetables and herbs, annuals, for that wonderful season-long color, and the perennials. Did you know that June is the Plant Perennials Month, designated by the Perennial Plant Association? So in June, the soil temperatures are finally warm enough so that when you plant your perennials, they get established so much more quickly than when you try to do them earlier in the growing season. And that's true for your vegetables too, especially things like squashes and cucumbers. They do so much better waiting until June to plant seeds, and they grow so much more quickly. You'll be amazed. You'll be amazed. Okay, and then the hydrangeas, they're really starting to show off right now. So can't wait to show you that. And then I'm still seeing samples of the viburnum, leaf beetles, water, water, water. I'm going to emphasize that. And then what I want to do is then go into the top diagnostics that I'm seeing, and then talk about what you should be doing in the garden, in the lawn, this coming week, and then also saving to the end what I'm doing and what I've done in my garden. So let's keep moving on here. Okay, and I'm still seeing people are still bringing samples in, not of the larva of the viburnum leaf beetle. They're finished. They're finished. They have dropped to the ground. They have pupated. They probably pupated about 2 weeks ago, but I'm still having people bring samples in of the leaves that are completely decimated, and the only thing that's left are the veins on the former leaves. So you have to really be aware of this, because in July and August the adults are going to come back. And those pupa that are in the ground are metamorphosizing right now, and they'll come out as these beetles. These beetles are really small. They're not even as big as the tip of my fingernail, my little tiny baby fingernail, and they can do serious damage. They don't do nearly as much damage as the larva does, but you really need to protect your viburnums with the systemic insecticides. And those, I think I have a picture. Oh, I have a picture later. I'm so sorry. Now, watering, water, water, water. I mean, I know everyone's cringing about what their water bills are going to be, but it's so important. I'm going to stop sharing the screen for just a minute, because I want to show you oh, no, let me keep going here. Okay, let's keep going. I'm sorry. All right. So now the rule of thumb for watering, I keep repeating this over and over and over again. The rule of thumb at 75 or cooler, we should be getting an inch of rain a week for every 10 degrees above 75. So these 85-degree weeks that we're having, we should be getting an inch and a half of rain a week. And we technically are down 8.5 inches for the season. Now, that has nothing to do with what horticulturists say you should be getting. The 8.5 inches down is based on what our historical amount of rain is every year. And we historically would have had 8.5 more inches of rain at this time in June than we have this year, which is really critically, I mean, serious, absolutely serious. So get that rain gauge, monitor the rain gauge, and then calibrate your own irrigation system. This is a sample that I just came in yesterday, and I'm going to stop sharing this screen for a minute because I want to show you the actual sample, and we'll go back to this. Here is that sample. Oh, no, it's not that sample. Oh, good, Jenny. Well, here's an also great sample. Okay, this is a Macrophylla hydrangea that is just going into flower. It's just budding up. And look at all the dried areas on the leaves. Now, these leaves got dry when they were still in the bud stage. And so when this was just all curled up in a bud, the outer edges got too dry, and then the client or the customer realized it was so dry, so she started watering. So that's why it's formed the flowers, and the newer leaves are okay. But it's, I'm seeing this probably, I'm probably seeing 25 samples a day, of this. This was a beach. This is a beach, a beautiful beach, a European beach. And the customer just did not understand watering. And half of the leaves look like this. And this is serious when the center part, usually drought damage, is the edges that go brown. This is right at the main part of the leaf. And they weren't watering. They were using an irrigation system and not monitoring whether the water was going to the root system at all. And then, oh my, this, I'm seeing so many of these. Japanese maples are suffering. Look at this. Look at this. Like just completely wilted out. Complete half the tree looks like this. It's sad. I mean, it's really sad. This sample just came in this morning. This is a container evergreen, and all they were doing is watering the foliage and putting in a huge big container, putting only half a gallon of water in it. And look, it looks like this. And then when I was showing them what was going on, you look and you see that the needles from last year were only like halfway formed. Look at these. See how these needles are only halfway formed, only half the length. So, critical. I'm seeing this and I'm just horrified by how much people are not understanding about watering. So let me go back to sharing the screen. Here we go. And this was an oak leaf hydrangea. And you can see, and my first reaction was that this was a fungal disease, anthracnose. And I put it under the microscope, and there's no pycnidia, no fruiting structure, no sign of fungus at all. This is just dehydrated tissue in the centers of the leaves. So, and then lots and lots of evergreens. These are arborvitae. Arborvitae that are not watered enough are getting toasted. This is just a toasted arborvitae. So it's so sad, so sad, so sad. Okay, now let's change gears here, shifting gears. And I want to give you this great tour of the nursery. This is the view when you're walking out of the store and looking straight down that main aisle to our center courtyard, where we have all of our vegetables and herbs. But I'm going to do a little bit of a sidetrack, and you can see kind of turning around, walking over and looking at our new benches with our container displays, and then a lot of the new tropicals. This is our Pride Month celebration decoration here in the center. And then look at the beautiful signature containers designed with summer annuals in them. And on this side of the bench are all the sun-loving ones. And on the other side, under the shade from the trellis, are the shade combinations. Look, isn't this just the definition of summer with that, like there are 3 different zinnias in it, and then the beautiful petunias and the cufia, and it's just gorgeous, bright colors, beautiful pot. That pot's going to look just lovely all summer long. And then here's the smaller. This is a smaller pot with celosia, the petunia, and the zinnia, and just wonderful summer colors. On the shade side, look at this is a bromeliad with that beautiful caladium, the New Zealand flax, and P.S. the New Zealand flax can work in sun or shade. And then you can see the fuchsia, that's a cascading coleus over on the right-hand side. Beautiful pots. And looking down that whole aisle, those are all, again, shade-loving containers by our signature people. And a little further down the bench, also for shade with different color combinations, more pastels. Okay, then turning around, looking down that same aisle, and this is along the side of our the Plant Information Center. You can see in the windows, the staff would be inside there, and then you come right around that corner to go to window number 1 and window number 2 to ask your questions. Hanging baskets, see the hanging baskets? Those are foliage plant hanging baskets, perfect for shade. And then talking about hanging baskets, this weekend, we're having a special promotion. If you buy 2 hanging baskets, you get 1 free. And then with we're also doing all vegetables, 4-inch vegetables are 20% off. I'll repeat that when I get to the vegetable pictures. Okay, and then our dwarf conifer collection, and then all of our boxwood. We've been replenishing our supply of boxwood, so lots and lots of them. Also replenishing our supply of arborvitae. And people think, oh, it's too hot to plant. No, 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 no. You can plant anytime, that the ground isn't frozen. You just have to be aware of watering needs, and the watering is so critical. I always want to emphasize that when you planted something new, for the first 8 weeks, you need to treat it like an intensive care patient. And that means watering every other day, and dividing the root ball mentally in your head into 4 quadrants, holding the watering wand over the first quarter and let the water run, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Second quadrant, count to 5. Third quadrant, count to 5. Fourth quadrant, count to 5, and do that 3 times in a row to make sure you've really watered that root ball. Don't bother watering the foliage. I mean, it can cause the plants to cool off when the water evaporates, but it does nothing to hydrate the plant. I mean, nothing. People think if they're watering the leaves, it's going to help. It does not. Roots, roots, roots. Okay, I can't say this enough. I feel like Paul Revere. The ornamental grasses, they're all coming in. They look wonderful. And then this is the shade perennials, and another view of shade perennials. And then this is our display courtyard. And we're featuring perennials and farm truck plants in this courtyard. So instead of having the truck every Friday, what we're doing is we'll feature a farm truck sale, and we have them in the center courtyard, and you see the sign that says fresh from the Chalet Farm, and they're featured at promotional prices. So always check now in the weekend on Fridays, check to see which plants are featured there. And beautiful, beautiful perennials, this week. And then here are all the wonderful tropicals, and it's in this area on 2 different benches, and then the shade ones are on the main aisle. I'm going to show you those pictures. We had this whole bench, this whole end cap was filled with those burgundy colored Hawaiian tea plants, and that's spelled T-I. Then it's called tea plant, Hawaiian tea plant, and people love those. And we sold them out. There's one left if you still want one. Beautiful crotons, beautiful palms. Palms love it outdoors in our sunny, and then also tolerant of shady conditions. We've got the mandavillas, and then there's more of the New Zealand flags. Okay, lots and lots of the cannas. Oh, look at the cute Chick Charms collection, and the different colored, sedums. So much, and then these are the echinaceas also. So wonderful collections, and on a separate bench, so you can find them easily. Oh, and this is adjacent. Look at all the hibiscus filled in between the aisles that came in with our tropical shipment. Okay, and then this is looking at the back of the garden shed in our center courtyard, and showing some ornamental grasses, and then also some of the citrus plants. Those are the tree form citrus plants. And then look at the baskets. Every picture shows our gorgeous, gorgeous baskets, our hanging baskets. This is an area that not a lot of people know about. It's to do trough gardens, and these are the miniature evergreens, and these can actually stay outdoors all winter long. So and you can see the concrete troughs over on the rack that you can use to plant them up. Then beautiful, the tropical dracaenas and all the ferns. Again, outdoor tropicals. That won't survive if you leave them out in the winter, but work as beautiful houseplants when you bring them back inside. Then this is looking at our annual area, and I'm standing on the bench showing the foliage plants. I have another photo of this that you can use in containers and or in, in planting beds. And then you can see our shade cloth covering our benches with our shade annuals in this view. This is looking across all of our sun annuals, the 4-inch sun annuals, and they're done by color. So the first bench is white, then there's yellow, and then pinks, and then the reds, and then blues, and then purples. So it makes it really fun when you're designing your planting beds and your containers. And then here I am standing again on that white bench, shooting directly into and under the shade annual area. Okay, another view of that. And then I shot back at all of the foliage plants. So you can see the different colors. You've got the licorice vines, the licorice cascading licorice plants, all the sweet potatoes and the sweet potato vines in the chartreuse colors and the burgundy colors. And then I love the ivy table. We have different types of English ivies, this classic English, variegated English. We have the Baltic and the Baltic ivy. It's a larger English ivy, and just all kinds of wonderful combinations. And it's not too late. It's not too late. This is looking down the rose section and showing those beautiful petunia hanging baskets, and then you can see all the roses in flower. This is in the center courtyard. You can see the table with all the herbs, the herb benches right off to the left and then to the right. And then we have our it's like a farmer's market cart, and those are all our herbs, and those are in 4-inch pots and also 6-inch pots. Cucumbers, squash, and kind of moving down and then starting with tomatoes. These are the corners. These are the corner racks in that courtyard, and they're filled to the max. All of these are tomatoes going into peppers. You turn the corner, there's more peppers. There's that annual bench the annual bench of herbs, and then peppers on the upright racks. And you can see where the Dr. Earth tomato, vegetable, and herb display is. That whole aisle. Oh, look back at the herbs. They just look lovely, and we've got everyone that you would need. We've got thyme again, and herbs love hot weather. So it's wonderful that we have them in. You can come and get the herbs and use them in containers and plant them. I planted them on the 4 corners of my vegetable garden. Here's looking in the tomatoes, and then that end rack, those 2 racks are all peppers. And then those are lavenders. This is the aisle behind those racks. And we have extra carts with, again, extra vegetables that just came in this week. And so if you haven't gotten your vegetable garden planted, don't worry. Now is the time to get things in. This is looking down the other direction of that aisle. You can see all the tomatoes and, hundreds of different tomatoes. So, and then this is the best fertilizer for the tomatoes, vegetables, and herbs, the Dr. Earth, and it lasts 60 days. So it's 1 cup per 10 square feet. And if you do it now, this is the first week in June, or actually it's the second week in June. And then you would do it again the second week of August. And that would keep it fertilized through the whole growing season and to get your harvest, going into fall. Incredible product. Okay. Now this is looking at the edge of the rose bed and just shooting through our wonderful sculpture, and you can see the roses, and then you can also see the hydrangeas starting to color up, the stars of the summer shrubs. And then I just love, these are the pink knockout roses, and then and the whites, and it looks like flower girls have run through and dropped rose petals everywhere. And then here are the hydrangeas, and look how gorgeous. And this is an incredible. And this is Rosie. Oh, Rosie, I'm just blanking on Rosie. This is one of the Macrophylla's lace caps. And then this is a unique oak leaf hydrangea. And look at the gorgeous long panicle shaped flowers on that. And Annabelle's just looking beautiful. They start with that lime green color and then they go white, white, white. And then this is showing racks and racks of geraniums that have come in. Come on, machine. There we go. And the spireas are coloring up. They should be coloring up out in your landscape as well. And then these are all of the red twig dogwood, the whole variety of dogwoods that would work in sun or shade. These are the dogwood shrubs. And then look at my lack of professional, my shadow here, me shooting. But I just wanted to show you all that these are the plants that would go into like the shady areas. So we have the dogwoods back in the back and then 9-barks. I'm shooting over a 9-bark. Okay, and then this is looking down that main aisle to the back road, and you can see the mock oranges that are going into flower right here in the front. And then all of these are shade tolerant shrubs in this section, this planting bed. And then coming back up the aisle, look at the coleus. Oh my gosh, we have every one of the great Kong coleus. Those are the ones that get really big and work in sun or shade. And then you can see all the different tropicals that are on the main aisle, and then the hanging baskets, the shade hanging baskets. I just love these begonias. These Rieger type begonias are incredible for the shade. Caladiums love it warm and humid. And so once it got like that, man, these crops came in and they're just looking fabulous. And what a great way to bring color into shade containers and or shade gardens. The fuchsia, this is a standard fuchsia. It's a little small tree fuchsia. I just love the color of this one. And then look at the alocasia or the elephant ears. Beautiful. And then the New Zealand flax plants are the red colors. And I love when they're backlit like this, how you can see the gold and the red and the green in those leaves. Really nice. Another view of that. And then the beacon type impatiens. You can use impatiens in your garden. Again, these are disease resistant, the beacons. Look at all the different color combinations. And this is the beacon. This was developed by the Ball Horticultural Company, and as a response to the impatiens downy mildew. That disease is still around, it's still out in the soil, but when you plant disease resistant ones, this doesn't happen. All the leaves don't fall off and leaves stems only. Okay, and these are what we call New Guinea impatiens. They were hybridized to grow in sun. Now here, because it gets so hot in the summer times, if you want to use these in the sun, you have to make sure they are really well watered. And sometimes that means needing to water them twice a day if it's really hot and sunny like we're having. But they're gorgeous. There's also a series called the Sun Patiens. And then this is inside the greenhouses or the glass houses, and our incredible succulent collection. And that's we enhance that with this delivery. And then we also got beautiful giant Chinese evergreens, aglaonemas, and then our orchid collection. Orchid pots are always fantastic. And then last but not least, a fun display on how to use tropical plants in a patio, whether it's an indoor patio, enclosed patio, or outdoors, with these beautiful baskets. So our visual people just do phenomenal, just phenomenal. So I'm hoping that really, tweaks your curiosity so you can come in and see it in person, because it's changing. It changes, all like every week and every day. Now these are the samples. Now, and I've been seeing damage on plants, and the damage that you see from 4-line plant bug is they have a stylus as like a needle as a mouth part, and they insert it in the leaf and suck a section dry. And you can really see on that leaf, and I left it in a baggie because I didn't want to chase these all over the place. But you can see how they just suck a section dry and they just move all over the leaves. So it looks polka dotted. It looks polka dotted. And I've been seeing samples probably for the last week and a half, but I hadn't had any proof that it was the 4-line plant bug until just this week. And 2 days ago, this sample came in. So I wanted to share it with you. So if you're seeing this damage, usually they come in with rainstorms. We haven't had that many rainstorms, but they can overwinter. The eggs can overwinter. They hatch and then they just move all around through the garden. So beware of that. If you're seeing a lot of this damage, you might want to use a systemic insecticide to protect those plants. Tons and tons of rose slug. And unfortunately, this is the bristly rose slug. And they started, and they have as many as 7 life cycles in a growing season. So we're going to keep seeing these coming back and coming back. It's really difficult to see these little larvae on the underneath sides of the leaves. They blend in so perfectly with the color of the leaves. You just see they have these scraping mouth parts. They scrape the underneath side of the cells, and then those tissues dry out, especially as hot and dry as it is, and then they break through, and then you get those holy looking leaves. Japanese yews with yellowing needles. Oh my goodness. Nonstop. People just aren't watering things as well as they should. Eriophyid mites and powdery mildew. I'm seeing powdery mildew on everything, but it's really a problem with 9-bark because they have these eriophyid mites that the larvae have laid. The adults lay eggs. The larvae start feeding, and it makes a real bumpy surface where the powdery mildew can really adhere, and with the high humidity, it really takes over. So you want to spray with the Bio Advanced 3-in-1, and that has the insecticide, the fungicide, and a miticide. For this problem, you're taking advantage of the miticide and the fungicide. And spray first, then prune all these tips off, and then spray once every 2 weeks as that new growth is coming, but it stays in the tissues that are sprayed for 30 days. Okay. Powdery mildew, I said we're seeing it everywhere. It's still on lawns, especially in shady areas of the lawns. And the nice thing is it's just on the blade, doesn't go down into the crown or the roots. So it's more of a visual problem that people don't like. Ooh. With all this heat and all this drought, spider mites are showing up, and especially on boxwood. So when you see this stippling look, then that means there's spider mites. So again, use a miticide and spray at dusk. Make sure all your plants are well watered before you spray anything on them. And then do it at dusk so that the chemical can be absorbed in overnight, and then it's not moist and the chemical is not active in the hot sun. Most of the boxwood are in shade though. And then these are the soil drenches, the Bio Advanced tree and shrub, and the Bonide tree and shrub. That's what you need for viburnums, for boxwood, and anything that has insects. Volutella stem canker, this is when it actually is active. We haven't been as moist and not as much rain, but because everyone's watering in this heat, this is when it can spread. And so, if you have sections of your boxwood where you have all yellow or dead sections, check all the way down to see if the bark is split open down further on the branch, and that's a sign that it's Volutella stem canker. And then the Volutella can go back and forth between the boxwood and the Pachysandra. So, you'll see this on the Pachysandra as well. And then there are the stems that are showing the damage. You can also get a Volutella leaf spot on Pachysandra. And then this is sunburn. And in this high heat, And in areas where you had a tree and the tree came down and the pachysandra is there, they can suffer sunburn. It doesn't kill them, but it can stress them. Oh, because of the hot temperatures and people using weed killers, the 2,4-D damage I'm seeing on a lot of plants. This is a sample on hosta, but I'm also seeing it on tomatoes, lots and lots of landscape plants. I'm seeing it on a lot of hydrangeas, and I saw a really sad sample on a Japanese maple, and it doesn't kill the plant. It just causes the leaves that are exposed to the vapor to curl up and the new growth that comes is normal. So the nice thing is, it doesn't kill them. But let's go back. Aphids on honeysuckle. Ooh, aphids. We're seeing aphids on a lot of different things, but mostly on honeysuckles. I'm watching the time here, everybody. The rough bluegrass and the annual bluegrass in the lawns are dying out. They're going dormant. So these light green patches are now turning yellow because of the heat. They don't like hot temperatures. And the sad thing is, it's not just the air temperatures that are hot. I show you that I get this report from the Syngenta Corporation. And this coming week, okay, our soil temperatures, Friday, the soil temperature is supposed to be, is predicted to be 77 degrees. That's enough to kill roots of cool season turf grasses in our lawns. So even if you're watering, we're seeing that damage. So be aware of that it's just the environmental conditions that are really causing stress. And then it's again that rough bluegrass, which is a weed in our bluegrass lawns, and the annual bluegrass, which looks so pretty in the spring because it's bright and green. These are starting to yellow out. So a lot of lawns are looking pretty patchy right now. So just heads up. Okay. Now I want to emphasize that this is a time to mulch, to help you save the water that you are putting, into the ground, for these plants. Mulch. And, you might want to go 2 inches deep. But now once you mulch, make sure and if you are doing supplemental water, make sure you water really, really heavily, because a lot of times the mulch will soak up, a lot of that water, and it won't get down into the root system. So be aware of that. There's the leaf mulch, there's the cotton burr mulch, shredded pine bark mulch, and then the shredded hardwood. And a lot of times, if you have newly planted plants, I recommend mulch the outer edge of the root ball and the soil out around the plant, because that'll keep the water from evaporating out of the soil. But leave the surface open right above the root ball so that when you're watering, it's going right down into the root system. Okay. Now, disease control. The interesting thing is, we haven't had the rainfall, so we're not seeing a lot of the foliar diseases on the plants, the anthracnose diseases that we have in the past several years. But again, we're getting the surface, the powdery mildews, and I did have a sample come in of a crabapple that was really bad, and this was an older tree, and you can see the leaf spots on this. That's classic apple scab. And what happens then is when the tree realizes that those leaves are damaged, and when we have this drought situation, it will set up abscission layers so that the plant doesn't have the surface area to evaporate water out of the plant. They'll just drop all the leaves so that to keep them from losing water. Plants are really amazing. Okay, so again, any of these I've talked about these different these fungicides, every garden coach, but it's really important that you know about these. Okay, and then I'm just showing you all the insects that I'm seeing coming in, and these are the insects that suck the juices of the plant, so they're called sucking insects. So we've got two-spotted spider mite, we have aphids, and aphids turn the color of the pigment of the plant that they're sucking. And then lots and lots of mealybugs mostly on indoor plants, whiteflies on indoor and outdoor plants. The hibiscus are magnets for whitefly, especially if they're drought stressed. And you can see that there's eggs. And then the other thing that is important to know is for whitefly, the adults aren't doing that much damage. They don't feed on the plant. It's the larvae that are on the underneath sides of the leaves that they look like a naked scale. They're sucking the juices. And this is a sample showing the larva and the eggs. And then aphids, I want to teach you about aphids have these little cornicles. They look like an extra pair of two tails on the tail end of and that is the positive ID that it's an aphid. Chewing insects are the next ones that we're dealing with. And I can't believe I don't have the viburnum leaf beetle on here, but we have the caterpillars that are chewing. Those are the good guys. That's the black swallowtail. And then sphinx moth down below, that's the caterpillar for the sphinx moth with all the orange and yellow globs on it. And then we've got inchworm up in the center upper part, and then Japanese beetles. They're probably the worst. Well, they were the worst chewing insect until the viburnum leaf beetles came into the area. So be prepared. I haven't had any reports of Japanese beetles yet, but I have a feeling we're going to start seeing them in the next 2 weeks. Okay, and two-spotted spider mites, because of the heat, we see the plants that are the most susceptible are especially burning bush. The burning bush that you have in your landscape. Keep them well watered. And it might be good to hose them off every once in a while, just, because if there are any spider mites that have hatched, spider mites hate water. So if you can hose off the underneath side of the foliage, that helps really suppress an outbreak of spider mite. Okay, and then insect control, it's the bio-advanced tree and shrub. And then, the bio-advanced 3-in-1 insect disease and mite, the bio-advanced rose and flower. And we also have the bonide. Oh, and man, everybody, I just had a report of baby rabbits. I've been watching my garden like a hawk. I wish my hawk was still around. I haven't seen any babies yet, but a customer came in and she has a whole hutch of babies that are going after all of her plants. So public enemy number one. This is what they do in the winter. And then in this season, especially with their babies, they can just eat all of your hostas to the ground. And then they love echinacea. They'll eat echinacea to the ground. So just, be forewarned and get your repellents out. Plant skeet is wonderful. And then also the liquid fence dual action rabbit repellent. Unfortunately, we're out of stock on this. We're waiting to get this back in. And then, we have the Bonide repels all, and then the Molmax. And oh my gosh, I forgot to I need to update this slide. My favorite is called Rat Magic, and it's a granular. I'm going to show you that in a minute. Now, and beware of the patch diseases. They're going to start showing up at the end of June because it's so hot, into July and into August. So here's my healthy lawn, and then we usually see dollar spot by now, but I think it's just been way too hot for it. So I haven't seen any samples of dollar spot. And I think it's because our nights aren't cool enough for dollar spot. But again, keep treating. If you've treated your lawn 3 times with one of these systemic fungicides, that should do it. That should take care of it. That will suppress the fungus, and it suppressed it while it was inoculating it. But right now, again, keep them watered and just keep your eyes open. And then this is the calendar. Now is a time, if you haven't done your summer application of fertilizer and weed and feed, now is the time to use this. And this was a new product that came in. I'm doing this on my lawn. This has a phenomenal 20% nitrogen, 0% phosphorus, and 10% potassium. That the fertilizer lasts for 3 solid months. 3 solid months. It has a weed killer that lasts for 6 months. It has a weed pre-emergent. It won't let any weed seeds germinate for 6 months. And then it also will kill crabgrass. So this is a cool product, new this year from Bio Advanced. And this bag treats 4,000 square feet. So now's the time to do it. You want to do it before the 15th of June, and make sure, watered in well. Okay, this was my usual favorite. Unfortunately, I just have to give you all a heads up. We sold out, and we have not been able to get any reorders. So you can use the Bonide, just straight fertilizer. It's a 20-0-10, or you can use that weed and feed from the Bio Advanced. Get your grub control down. GrubX is what you want to use, because you don't want to have to deal with this after all this heat and the drought. And then again, we have not had as many cases of these fungal diseases, but unfortunately, we did have some rain at the time when the plants were getting inoculated. These are the two best systemic fungicides that you apply foliarly: Immunox and then the Infuse. And then these are the soil drenches. And the Rose RX is an insecticide, systemic insecticide, a systemic fungicide. And then this Bio Advanced all-in-one, I think it's my favorite product. I talk about this every week because it has a great fertilizer, a 9-14-9 fertilizer. And then it also has the systemic insecticide and the systemic fungicide. And it lasts 6 weeks. So you do it April 15, June 1, this last week, and then July 15. And for a rose, it's 2 ounces in 1 quart of water only. Incredible. Okay. And then here are the earth-friendly natural fungicides, the copper sulfate. But right now, I want to warn everybody, when it's this hot, the most that you want to spray on a plant is water, unless you really have, a disease problem. But just do water and save. If you've got a bad problem with powdery mildew, use the systemic. If it's an edible plant, you can use the liquid copper sulfate, the liquid copper octanoate. The liquid copper from Bonide, but do it in the evening. Do it at dusk, and then let it soak in overnight. And then apple scab, like I said, I have not seen that much, but I got that one sample that looked just as bad as if not worse. And now I'm seeing a lot of black spot on roses because it splashes up from the soil. Wild onion and wild garlic, and use the Seginder, and it's sulfentrazone. And then again, chickweed, clover, and oxalis is the one that you could use now, but be careful. It's too hot. You're not supposed to use this if it can be 85 degrees in the next 30 days, and we're there right now. So you may have to wait, to use a weed killer. If you don't use, a weed and feed, use a liquid spray. Wait till the end of the summer to get rid of it. This is actually a weed killer that you can use in the heat, and it's iron hetida. It's a chelated iron. You spray it on the surface of the weeds. It kills broadleaf weeds because they're horizontal. It doesn't bother grass plants because it just runs down their blade and goes into the soil. But this is a good one. This is a really good one. And then the grassy weeds and flower beds, you want to get them soon. And as all the grasses are coming up through the roses or through the ground cover, you can spray this. I talk about this every week. This is a great product. And then this is, proactive, plant health care. Use your good fertilizers. My favorite is that tomato, vegetable, and herb from Dr. Earth, and then the Dynagrow for indoor plants. And again, the 3-in-1 takes care of, fungicides, feeding insects, and spider mites. And again, spray at dusk. and it absorbs in. It's dry the next morning. When the pollinators come back, they're not affected, and it's not in the flowers, and it's not, it's not in the nectar, not in the pollen, just in the foliage. Okay, and then these are new houseplant insect controls. I've talked about both of these. You have the pyrethrin in a canola oil, and then that's in the organic insect control. And then you have the houseplant in garden from Garden Safe is a pyrethrin. And then, now 10 minutes. So I have time to talk about what the horticulturist is doing in her own garden this weekend. Here's my vegetable garden. I am watering every other day since we're technically in this major drought. And I'm doing that for my vegetable garden and my lawn and all my perennials, all my shade perennials in the front, especially all my hostas. And the hostas really need water. They really need water. And which reminds me, tomorrow I'm doing the lecture. Tony Fulmer was going to do the hosta and shade-loving plants, and the shade-loving plants that love to live with hostas. And again, he got called out of town, so I'm doing the lecture. Actually, it was my original PowerPoint, so it's fun to be giving it again. And that'll be at noon tomorrow, noon to 1. And so again, I'm going to talk about all those plants. And then my tools for success as a horticulturist that I love to use. I love to use the Dr. Earth vegetable planting mix. That's what I filled my beds with. I love the Rat Magic. The Rat Magic, I hate the title, but it's designed to repel rodents. That means chipmunks, squirrels, and rats, if you have to deal with rats. I deal with chipmunks and squirrels, horrendous problems with chipmunks and squirrels. And so instead of putting the fences back up on my garden, I decided to test. So you sprinkle a 2-foot band around your beds. And so I've sprinkled the Rat Magic around all the outer beds of my vegetable garden, and it is working. It is working. These animals have to walk across cedarwood oil, and that irritates their noses. Castor oil, if they do get it on their paws and they clean their paws, the same thing happens to them that happens to us when grandma would give us castor oil. And then clove oil, which really irritates their noses, and peppermint oil irritates their noses. So it really, really works. I haven't had any change, and I'm doing this every 2 weeks and just testing it, and and kind of using my garden as the sacrificial lamb, but it's working. It's really working. Okay, so again, I got my vegetable garden planted. I just planted my cucumbers yesterday. So this is the best time to plant cucumbers while the soil is warm, and they'll just grow right on. And then you want to do every 3 weeks, plant another crop, another set of seeds, so you have a fresh set of vines coming through. Do that with all your squashes and your cucumbers, anything in that family. Do a planting every 3 weeks for the rest of the season, and you'll really extend your harvest. Cottonburr compost and Dr. Earth vegetable mix is what I used in these beds. I'm going to come back with Cottonburr compost after I get everything planted and mulch over the top with 1 inch, just to keep the weeds from coming around. And then I was bragging about my strawberry plants in my hanging baskets, and I'm sorry I don't have a photo. They're getting ripe. They're getting ripe. So does anybody have a good shortcake? Strawberry shortcake recipe? I've lost mine. So if anybody has a good recipe, let me know. And I noticed that I have one question in the question and answer column. So I'm gonna stop sharing the screen. Oh, here we go. I had to end. Thank you. And here's to summer and all the wonderful summer flowers that we have to look forward to. I just love this container that our signature people did. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing. Here we go. I'm back. And let's look at the question and answer. And this is Jamie. And I've got some black spots on my bee balm. Okay. When I treat my roses with the Rose RX system drench this weekend, is it safe to use on the bee balm? Absolutely. It's absolutely. Jamie, I love the drench, because you're not spraying it. So you don't get any collateral kill of the insects. It does take on a plant that's, the height of bee balm, it takes about 5 days for those chemicals to be translocated up into to the leaf tips. But it really is effective. It really is effective. And it's also going to prevent bee balm. The Monarda can get powdery mildew pretty easily. So it should do the trick. And those black spots, that's either anthracnose or that's also there's a Rhizoctonia leaf spot that they get. Okay, and this is from Joan. What do I do about white moths in the veggie garden? If anything, you know what? Those white moths are the adult version of the cabbage looper, and that's the little caterpillar that will devour your kales, your cabbage plants, anything in the cabbage family. So I would spray it's the Bonide tomato and veg, and it actually has sulfur and pyrethrin in it. And it's an organically derived pyrethrin. The sulfur will take care of spider mites and any fungal problems. And then the organically derived pyrethrin, you spray at dusk when the bees and pollinators and butterflies are back at their hives. And then you can harvest the very next day. You can harvest like 24 hours later. So it's an excellent product. It's the same formula as the orchard spray. So if you want to get the orchard spray in the hose end, then you can spray the whole garden, and you do that once a week and it'll take care of it. But yes, you need to watch out for those white butterflies. Those are not the good guys. Those are the bad guys. Okay. And then here's Joy. I have the boxwood and it has many yellow stems. I've been cutting them out. Should I completely replace them or put the miticide on it? Okay. Joy, if you've got a lot of yellow, stems and foliage, that most likely is the Volutella's stem blight. Or it could also be the boxwood leaf miner. My favorite product to use is the Rose and Flower all-in-one. And it has the fertilizer, the fungicide, and the insecticide. And you measure the height of the shrub and then use 1 ounce in a quart of water per foot of plant height. If it's more than 4 feet, then you just use a gallon of water. It's 4 quarts, it's a gallon. And then pour it right through the center of the plant, and that will be absorbed in the plant and stand for 6 weeks. So I would highly recommend that. Now, if you have the yellow stippling on the leaves, then it's the mite. So then that's when you would spray the 3-in-1 from BioAdvanced with the fungicide, the miticide, and the insecticide in it. Great question. Okay, everybody, it is 10:57 and I'm finishing right on time, which is incredible. I hope you all enjoyed the photos of the nursery. It just looks spectacular. And even, just get out and about and come and visit and just walk through the nursery. It's just so fun. And especially since, you don't have to wear your face masks anymore, and just come out and enjoy it and see and enjoy getting out and about, and make Chalet one of the places on your list that you're going to come and visit, because it's really fun. And come and see me in the Plant Information Center. And I'm here to answer any of your questions. And tune in on Saturday for the demos, or come and visit. Not tune in. This is a live thing on Saturday, and 9 to 9:30 and 1 to 1:30 on how to plant vegetables, and how to enjoy vegetables, and how to have fun with vegetables and herbs. Okay. All right. And then tomorrow at noon is the hosta lecture, and the shade plants that love to live in hostas. So thank you, everybody. I actually finished on time, and it's amazing. It's amazing. Practice makes you do a little bit better, doesn't it? So thank you so much. All right, I'll see you tomorrow, and I'll see you next week at Garden Coach. Bye-bye now.